When I think of the tight end that I want playing for me in today's NFL, Kyle Rudolph almost exactly fits that mold. While there certainly are more talented tight ends out there in the league, he's the kind of tight end that you would want on your team in 2019. Of course, I do see the irony in a guy named Rudolph having a career day right before Christmas, but he really did have a great performance. He was targeted 9 times and made 9 catches for 122 yards. He also had a pair of touchdowns to go with it. While the biggest play that's getting talked about is his Hail Mary, the one that impressed me almost as much was the play right before that one. There's 12 seconds left, and typically you want to get to about the 50-yard line before throwing a Hail Mary. Detroit's in a prevent defense, and they have a man guarding each one of Minnesota's receivers. This is the route concept that Minnesota's running, and as you see, Kyle Rudolph's the guy to watch here. Typically, this would be a pretty good matchup for Detroit. They have a defensive back on a tight end, and that defensive back is Deshaun Shed, who's 6'2" and a pretty big guy. However, Shed's going to try to push off against Rudolph, which really isn't a good decision since Rudolph is still bigger than him. He tries to initiate contact and does not go well. Rudolph's bigger and stronger and is able to just go by him. From there, Sheed has to move faster to try to keep up with Rudolph, which is actually perfect for Rudolph as it's designed for him to cut back. Rudolph makes the catch and at first is going to try to see if he can get out of bounds. However, he looks up at the clock and sees that there's only 6 seconds left, meaning that there's no way they could run 2 more plays after he gets out of bounds. He also knows he won't have time to get into field goal range either. This is going to be the last play before a Hail Mary. The second he sees that he's not going to be able to get inside field goal range on this play, he allows himself to get tackled and keeps more time on the clock. It was a great play to get open and give Cousins one chance to throw it towards the end zone. On this play, it's going to start off with Kyle Rudolph in motion, and since no line follows him, Minnesota has a pretty good idea that it's zone coverage. This is the route concept that Minnesota is going to be running, and as you see, there's 3 Minnesota Vikings routes that are going to end up in one area. However, because each Viking is farther down the field, it's going to take each one of them a different time to get to that point of the field. The idea is that 2 receivers run by there, and then Rudolph cuts in and gets into that zone where he'll be open. This means that Rudolph has to run his route quickly and get into that area as soon as Minnesota's receivers get past it, which isn't the play you would have someone who's just in there to block do. However, that's obviously not Kyle Rudolph. He gets to where he has to be at the perfect moment and is able to make the play. Not only can he beat you with size, but he can beat you with speed. And that's what makes him such an effective receiving tight end. There's another thing I've noticed Kyle Rudolph does really well, and that's his ability to start off blocking, but then run a route. As you see here, this is the initial route concept that Minnesota is going to be running. Rudolph in this play is going to start off blocking, but then he's going to run a flat route to the top half of the screen. On this play, Detroit's going to have a shadow on Adam Thielen. They're also playing cover 4, which means there will just be 2 Lions in zone right past the line of scrimmage. This is good news for Minnesota, as it should allow Rudolph to get even more open. As you see, Jones is looking over, and since Kyle Rudolph is blocking, he's not concerned in guarding Rudolph. He's going to end up being right in the middle of the field, which is not a good position to make a tackle on Rudolph on this route. Rudolph runs up and ends up having a wide open space. Even he knows it as he signals to Cousins that he's open. Cousins hits him quickly, and Rudolph's able to run for almost a first down. It was 2nd and 13, and now it's a 3rd down and short play. It's obviously a huge difference, and it was set up by Rudolph doing a great job of selling that he was going to be blocking the entire play. Rudolph does that incredibly well. I don't think there's any better example of that than his 2nd touchdown catch of the game. They're going to send Adam Thielen in motion, and since a Lion follows him, they have a pretty good idea that it is in fact man coverage. It's going to be play action on this play. And so to help sell the fake, Thielen and Rudolph are both going to start off as though they're blocking. However, at a certain point, Rudolph is going to break to the outside, and it's essentially going to become a pick play, where Thielen takes care of the man who was assigned to cover Rudolph, and Rudolph will end up being open. As you see, Rudolph does a perfect job of selling the fake. I mean, you fully believe that he's just in the play to block on this one. However, he does a quick spin move to get out of it, and at this point, there's no chance for Detroit. He doesn't get talked about as the best receiving tight ends in the league, and probably rightfully so, as there are some really good ones out there. However, he can do it all, and he's a huge weapon to have in your arsenal. Everyone would love having a tight end like Rudolph, and he's a huge reason Minnesota is 1 win away from the playoffs.